From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between, this is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. And we are back here at the 2024 TASC, Texas High School Soccer Coaches Convention, and I am proud to be joined by a frequent flyer joining us back again this year. He is Coach Fred Dikranian of the International Soccer School based out of Florida, as well as the International Soccer Symposium. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me. Always good to be here.
Absolutely. Excited to have you here once again. You always bring a wealth of knowledge. I got to brag on you, Fred. Last year, I told a lot of people, I said, hey, I felt like my interview with Fred was nothing crazy out of the ordinary, but it turned into just a fascinating interview. Just some of the topics, what we were bouncing off of back and forth, your presentation, which I was trying to make, but unfortunately couldn't make it. I was in here interviewing somebody else, but excited to have you here again for your second year here at TASC. But before we dive into any of that, tell us, how are things?
Things are great. It's for us at the International Soccer School and International Coaching Symposium, it's great to be here because of the people. And people say, hey, where are you going? You're going somewhere? And I said, man, I'm going to TASC. Awesome people. The leadership always seems to be just really good dudes, good people, like high-end character. And, you know, there has to be 1,000 people in there right now. It's for Friday, ready to go. It's packed. Yeah. So really impressive and happy to be here. On our end, things are great. We're year 7 into our national coaching education brand, which is the International Coaching Symposium. Last year, we had some great people come in. So we had AFA come in, it's the Argentine Football Association, the national team coaches, Alan Irvine from West Ham. Now he's assistant manager at Scotland. Mikhail Bunel, Fred Lipka from the MLS came out. So Dean Selvey from FIFA. He runs Arsene Wenger's TDS technical development scheme. So we had some really good people, and proud of that, and proud to be able to share, and just like the guys here are doing. So yeah. I have not had a chance to stick my head in there in probably over, I'd say maybe an hour and a half. So there's really that. Wow, that's good. That's good, because usually that is about what you get total over the course of the entire convention. So if there's that many already, that's pretty fascinating. Where the quick roll area is, it's standing room. Yeah. And most of them, and there's some seats here and there for people who don't want to sit next to someone or whatnot. Yeah. But I mean, it's a lot of people standing. I was impressed. So yeah, awesome. So thoughts on from your lessons learned from last year, right? As it relates to TASC, when you were here last year, you presented, and your colleague as well. We'll get into that as well. But what was the key takeaways from last year that helped you in the prep process for this year? Quality of participant, quality of people, as from a capacity standpoint. So I think around the country, high school soccer doesn't get maybe the credit it could because of the big leagues and big money and all of these things that the institutions that have kind of taken over. So really impressed with the capacity, the questions. I asked a question mid-presentation, and I asked it to kind of stump people, and a girl in the audience nailed it within seconds. Wow. And awesome. I was like, whoa, and then it wasn't just her, but there was quite a few people. And so it encouraged me to just keep pushing the issue. And I always like to be in an environment where things go over my head, or it's a higher level than I'm right. And so, I think this is, I don't know the level I can present anything higher, but I can at least challenge people to think and have an open mind. Right. And I think that's the key to education. If your mind's open to learning, and then I think maybe something we can share, myself or Perry Vanderbeck, who's coming shortly.
Mhm.
Maybe it can help someone. So this
Yeah.
is the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned, you just mentioned your colleague and Perry Vanderbeck, who has in his own right just illustrious career, right? And just both as a player, as a coach, and now as an educator. So we will have him on as well. We're excited to announce that we will have him on as well tomorrow at some point, right? Sometime early tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Do not miss that interview as well. But while we have you here, obviously grateful to have you here, Fred. Tell us this year, right? What are you presenting on, and what are your thoughts going into that, and maybe your objective, your goal for that presentation?
So, the president of TASCO, Chris Besner, good friend, I said, hey, what do you want me to present on? And he said, well, what do you want? And I said, well, look, we're here to share and give me a topic. And so he came up with playing with three in midfield. So, and I want to get it right. The topic for the practical session is related to the theoretical. So the classroom presentation is a tactical look into playing with three in midfield. And I like to tie it to the Premier League because it's the best league in the world.
Mhm.
And then the field session was interesting. So I could have constructed a field session to talk about the three and how the three interact, but I want to show how the coach has all of the players interact with the three, not teach the three, right? Because oftentimes your three in midfield are your better players or someone that can win the ball, and then your special guy. How can we get everyone else, get them to be free and to move? And we spoke about positionless football last year as seemingly a trend now in the game. But how can we get people to read and understand the movement so that they can support the central players? So I don't know if that makes sense or not. Or I explained it well. Or
Absolutely. So I think, refresh my memory on the schedule. I'm trying to remember the schedule. Your classroom before field session, right?
Classroom's at 1 tomorrow. And then Perry and I have a panel discussion on tactical adjustments in game, which I think is going to be really interesting, depending on who's in the audience and the questions asked.
And what time is that at the panel? For
2, right after.
That's it, right after. Okay.
And then I think I close the day at 4.
And that one, the panel is in the classroom, or are they going to have that out in the exhibit hall?
Classroom,
After, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I bring a little energy before the beverages at 5 o'clock. So,
so now your field session though. So was the thought process behind your classroom presentation, your class presentation, I should say, was that linked directly tied into the field or not? I mean, 100%. Kind of independent. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the harsh reality is 95% of the people will stay in a chair, go get some water, hit the restroom, but just watch. And it's not a TASCO thing. It's not a US thing. It's a world thing. People want to watch a session and copy. But if you just do that and you don't see the theory and the intention behind what you're watching, you could copy something that's meant for practically an off day, and then you do it on
right.
So if you don't know the intention and what the coach is actually trying to do, it's so, really you should get to both, but there's a tie, and the people that get to both will get more out of the practical sessions.
Gotcha. That's awesome. So 1 o'clock class, 2 o'clock panel, same classroom, and then presentation is Saturday, right?
Tomorrow.
It is tomorrow. Also presentation.
Tomorrow, 4 o'clock. So it's boom, boom, boom.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Never mind. That's why you mentioned the 5 o'clock.
That's right. 5 o'clock.
I forgot about that.
Everyone's going to the socials.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah. I got all the presentations, everything I'm trying to, in my head, impossible at this point. I got to keep referencing the schedule.
I think the key is my message will be train players to think. It was tied to last year's topic, and which was positionless football, which is almost like this, everyone has a position, right? So does it exist? Does it not exist? But training smartness, players that can adapt and think and move. And if you zig, then I'll zag. And we have this chemistry that we can have that changes game to game. It changes in game, all because we don't need a coach to tell us run here, run there, or do this. The coach maybe gives us a little bit of advice, or, hey, tweak this, maybe this will work. But we can do it off of each other because we can read cues. We can understand what's coming before it arrives. And really, we're smart, which if we can teach the young players to do this, then, I mean, you mentioned, in your intro, which is really professional, the college recruiting piece. The biggest problem with college, or one of the biggest problems, is every kid looks the same. So what are you going to do to
Right.
differentiate yourself from everyone else? And I think smartness and being able to read, whether you're a defender, seeing what happens before, so you can just step out and win a ball easily rather
Yeah.
than be in a duel. So
Yeah.
this would be part of the messages with the attacking side.
Yeah. So much of what we do, I've been talking a little bit just a little while ago with Stephen Mackey. We were talking about the character and the culture side of what I try to implement within my program. But on the soccer side, right, when we start talking about, just before we get into tactics, before we get even the technical piece, any strategy, we talk about the mentality of here. I tell them here we start with the brain first, right? So important, because I'll have both club players and no club players alike, who, when you start asking them and challenging them in terms of decision making and the process of intelligence, right? The development of soccer IQ, and they will be equally there. It's almost like they're, in many cases, they're on the same playing field, even though their experience within the game is different. I feel like they're not being engaged enough in terms of this. It's like, I don't know if on the club side, youth soccer, coaches just feel like we don't have enough time for the actual soccer IQ development piece.
Texas is a great example.
Yeah.
And we have a couple years experience now in Texas from our international coaching symposium that we run in Dallas. And everyone wants to win. And then winning is the first priority. My friend.
That's not what they tell you when you try out, though. That's not what they tell you when you try out.
Right? Like, it's literally, you can feel it. And I'm in Florida now. I was in the Northeast prior, New York and Connecticut. And it's like something I've never seen, the competitiveness and whatnot. And I think this detracts from what the real objective is. My friend his team won the UEFA Champions League for the youth. It was the U20, so U20 European champions. And I said, wow, congratulations, amazing, great to win, a big club. And he said, Fred, I don't care if they win or not. He goes, all I care is if there are players playing on the first team from that group and from that generate that cycle of players.
Yeah.
And right now I don't see any. So congratulations, but it doesn't mean anything. This was, if someone had won that in the United States, they won the maybe the MLS, or they won the top high school championship, right? For the biggest schools.
Right.
It's more about winning and the trophy, and the national colleges all have their national championships now. And that's the priority, not who are we helping get to the next level? Who are we helping learn? And this is oftentimes not how we're measured, and it probably should be. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can have a field day with that one. So I'll try not to open up that can of worms too much. But so the International Soccer Symposium, tell us, I know last year it was July, you were in Arlington.
Dallas.
Was it?
Yeah, we were.
Was it in actual Dallas proper?
Yeah.
I thought it was Arlington. No. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were in Dallas last July. What is on tap going forward into this next year?
We're now running two. We're running Texas and Florida. So the International Coaching Symposium is year 7 or 8.
So it's
now.
like 2 simultaneous symposiums kind of thing going, or
1 month next month.
Okay.
And I think the strength in what we do, we're probably the only private organization in the country running a national coaching education brand where we're just trying to help and share and whatnot. So for us in its own, just to be doing this, I think the stuff we're doing is in par with what you guys are doing here, what Fred Lipka's doing at the MLS. There's not a ton of people doing more to share and to educate. So for this, we're really thrilled. And it's just a matter of what's next is continuously find new presenters, people that want to come in and provide a new idea or share their experience. And if we can touch one coach or one coach and director or whatever, the trickle down effect is massive for us. So, and the impact on the country. So for us, it's a matter of, we're hoping to finalize, some of the top 5 or 6 national teams to get representation from a couple of the big ones in Europe, Obviously, we had the Argentinians, Kike Sasane and Diego Placente last year from AFA.
So they're coming back again, or don't know?
We try and bring.
Yeah.
We don't have I can't release who's coming back.
Oh, okay.
It's not final until
you're not there. Gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
we're not there yet. Until
Okay.
it's final, we usually don't say anything. We're
Right.
in conversations, but for us, the priority is coming up with people. Sorry, that was Perry calling.
Oh no, you're good. Probably just landed.
Yeah, I think he's here.
Yeah.
So it's just coming up with people that have that want to share and want to present. And for us, I think what I led with TASCO and why it's so nice to be here, that's a staple of what we do. Because if you bring a presenter who just wants to tell you what to do and go in and go out, this isn't the right type of, for me. I was in there in the beginning watching the first session. Where I'm going to jump in and watch, Coach Mackey, because he's great to hear. He's a pro.
Yeah, we got to get you out of here in a little bit to go watch him.
But it's good to, for us, we want to learn from,
Mhm.
I want to learn. So bringing in really high character presenters, it's a requirement, not just high football. So we try and find both. So,
and I feel like you hit on such a great point there, because I feel that's kind of part of the reason why I'm here and why I love being part of this organization and supporting it is, from the entire board, not just Chris Besner as president, but the entire board is that's something that's a key ingredient they look for in presenters, is someone who equally wants to learn and support and grow, right? Be part of that growth process. And they don't look down upon it's a bunch of high school coaches or you know what I mean? Or it's not going to challenge them or anything. So that's a key ingredient that they look at as well, I feel.
I sounded the ball for you earlier. I said, love what you're doing for the game, because I remember what you did last year. I've heard some podcasts, obviously you're one of the guys doing it for the right reasons. And that's why we're here. I live in Florida. I flew out, but we're here because they're great people. And I think it's a lesson for anyone else, another organization, people that aren't on the board yet. Typically when you get to the board level, it's, well, look at us, it's not how they are. And they set such a good example for the people below them. One of the messages that we gave, and I personally gave at the Florida International Coaching Symposium, was, look, we've got great people here. They're here to help you in any way you can. Go back and find one or two people in your own community, at your club, at your high school, that you can mentor. Because if we don't do a good job putting our arm around a younger coach, spending time, really helping them, not telling them what to do, but helping them, challenging them to think and learn, just like ideally we do with the players,
right?
Then they can be the next, Austin Guest and, the big coaches that we have.
Yeah.
So.
There's so much, I'm glad you mentioned that, because there is obviously, rightfully so, there's so much emphasis that gets placed on player development based upon day in and day out, right? And sessions and what have you, pathways. But that never really gets mentioned. I feel it's not mentioned enough with coaches beyond, because when it comes to coaching development, what do you hear about? You just hear about coaching education, licenses. That's it, right? Which is, I can tell you, I've seen a ton of crap A licensed coaches, right? And I've seen some unbelievable.
Hey, come on, I have my A. Come on, take it easy.
No, I know. Well,
I'm joking. Yeah.
Right. Not current company, not included, but good. Excluded, of course. But no, what I mean is, and yet I've seen some with some D's, right? And if you would have told me, or I didn't know that going in, and then when I learned after the fact, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I use my own personal story, right? From Gary Evans, mentor of mine, from Liverpool, played for Liverpool, turned pro when he was 16. What I learned from him in a two and a half year span, like trumps any, B license that I could have received, because it was the day in and day out rigors of player development, training development, talent identification, the management piece, right? The X's and O's, the quality sessions, what do you do when your team plateaus, right?
Yeah.
All of that.
My uncle's in every Hall of Fame he can be in. This is my version of your mentor. And he said, give good information and they'll come back every time.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing to go by, especially if you're in coaching. If the information's spot on, they're going to go to you.
And this was the same uncle giving you grief about math, right? Is this the same uncle? It is. Yeah, I remember.
So, but then he said, if you're going to give information and it's going to go on deaf ears, you're wasting your breath. Really interesting in how to navigate personnel, But the biggest thing I can say is he's the guy. He was, in the 90s, one of the top guys,
Mhm.
and he would treat the best guy in the group or the worst guy in the group the same. It didn't differentiate between either. And what an example it set for me. I try and do my best with
Yeah.
this, but it doesn't matter if you're at the number one high school or the bottom high school and you're in a rebuild. It's how we treat each other. And I think this is, I think it's a big key. I think in Texas and Florida, in the country, in the U.S., and we have this geographical issue. There's a lot of really good people in the country now. I think we've all learned, and the licensing's done a job. But geographically, we're so big. Where if you're in England, the mentors are all really tight together and they're really accessible. It's not always the case here. So if you've done a lot to educate yourself, look at yourself. You may be a mentor and don't even realize it.
Mhm.
And to spend the time and effort, one, to lead by example, act the way you want, to be treated, treat other people the way you want to be treated. I think it's a big piece, and it's so important for the country to grow up because we're too big. We're a continent, not a country,
Right.
and
The regionalization. I wish we could go back to that in so many ways.
the regional teams.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
who's the thing? I think we had it right way back.
That's interesting.
Way back.
Yeah.
I think we had it right a long time ago before we started going to what we know now as the modern, the modern process. But that's another day. That's
Very, very interesting. That's a good point.
that's another day.
interesting.
But before we let you go, Fred, tell us. So the International Soccer Symposium this year, what can you share with us in terms of Texas? Going to be Dallas again? I know there was a rumor saying somehow we were going to lure you over to San Antonio. No,
I mean,
no.
we're open. It's all about partnerships, and what I will tell you is
Just putting you on the spot. I'm kidding.
No,
but
it's all
what
good.
can you? I guess what
hear it.
can you share based upon where you're
what
at?
I would say is, for the first time, we recorded and now have it accessible online.
Mhm.
So anyone interested, if any of your listeners are interested, they can go to internationalcoachingsymposium.com, and there's literally a link. I want to say it's $95. You can see the entire symposium, watch it on your own time. You can, so let's say you go to the gym and you're cooling down, you can pop up 20 minutes while you're stretching, and you can listen to literally experts. So it's whatever we've done in the past. Normally it was done and you can't see it any longer, but the beauty of your podcast is you can still access them, and you can go back and revisit content. So the biggest thing I think we've done is, anyone that missed it, you don't have to wait till next year. You can hit it now if you're interested and want really high-end content from pros. We have the Texas one online, the Florida one online, and then we have a package where you can pick up both. That wasn't my intention of coming on here. I want to support what you're doing.
Sure. That's why it's important to know. I mean, if they want to go and they want to act, because inevitably they're going to look up information on your organization, and then they're going to want to know. So
it's powered through Huddle. So Huddle's our technology provider, and all the content's online, and
absolutely
it's separated by topic and presenter, and so it's
all right. Great stuff. We're going to try to wrap up to get you out of here so you can go catch some of Stephen Mackey. But where can we find, again, more information on the International Soccer School and the symposium? One more time, where can they get more info?
internationalcoachingsymposium.com. And we have simple Texas and Florida, and you can click relive the action, and it'll take you right to the Huddle platform.
Perfect. And as we wrap up here, last thing, our wrap-up session, our stoppage time, I want to give you the opportunity. Anything that is on your mind that you want to share? The floor is yours.
I mean, humbled and blessed to be here and share time with everyone. I love what you're doing, and if there were more guys like yourself and more TASCos in the country, would be a better place, So just happy to be here and excited to learn from the other presenters and see what they have to share, and hopefully I can provide something that helps someone get a little better, or so just thrilled to be here and appreciative.
Yeah, awesome. Likewise, Greg, thank you for the kind words. Really appreciate that. And if you catch this later, if you're here at the TASCO convention, make sure you go check them out tomorrow, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m. So 1 p.m. class session, 2 p.m. panel session in that same classroom, and then 4 p.m. Training session as well. So he is Fred Dikranian of the International Soccer School and International Soccer Symposium. Thank you again.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for everything. And don't go anywhere. We'll be back with much more coverage of the 2024 Texas High School Soccer Convention brought to you by TASC.